podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This Bradford City Up the Chickens special is hosted by Bradford City Independent Group.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Get It Off Your Chest space. It's a talk purely about Bradford City. You can talk about whatever you want. It's an open floor, an open mic. And I thought it might be just nice to all get together, talk about some of the things that are going on at the moment in the club and around it, and really get your views and give you a space to speak and say what you want. So looking for speakers, obviously, you choose the topics. I'm not going to mention Bradford City Independent fans at all. You can ask me about that if you want to, but it's purely about just getting stuff off your chest tonight. And we've just literally found out that Manny Osadebi's gone to Forest Green for a fee, which is quite a surprise. I wasn't expecting that one. But it's over to you guys. Has anybody got anything on the mind? Are you wanting to talk about the recruitment at the moment? Do you have some views on Supporters Board and their minutes that were released late last night? It's over to you. So we're looking for speakers. Come on, just as you do on like City Event or anything like that, and say your piece, and we'll go from there. But lots happening at the club at the moment. Lots of fans with different views. The floor is yours, guys. I'm just moderating. So, has anybody got any points at the moment on recruitment as it stands right now? Any thoughts on anything right now? Let's have a look. Approve. So, Stan, hello, mate. It's over to you, buddy.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. No surprise, really, is it, on the out players going out so far? I mean, Harry was a bit of a, not left of field, but I suppose it took people by surprise, specifically because they didn't expect us to actually sell him. But the fact that he was probably wanting to go in the summer. But yeah, I mean, Big Verdane and Paddy going, it's not a surprise, really. So I think probably should a bit of business, and sounds like Alexander's kind of fighting tooth and nail to keep Jake Young as well. So
I found it interesting, Stan, that we've managed to get undisclosed fees for pretty much most of what's gone out at the moment, which normally we get they just go. And we don't seem to get anything for them, but we seem to be trying to secure fees for these players, which I think is quite positive based on some of the previous kind of transfer windows we've had.
Yeah, I think so. I think somebody better than me can probably tell you why they don't sort of disclose them. I guess it's basically people are keeping the war chest, sort of the cards close to the chest out there if they wanted to make signings, especially in this January window. I think it's good. Even if you get like 30,000 for a player, obviously that kind of probably buys somebody's contract out, doesn't it? And so on. So and the fact that the club are playing hardball with Harry. I did see a post earlier, and Carlisle manager is it Simpson or Sampson? I think Simpson, in it.
Simpson, yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of talking about Jake Young again. And it's probably because he's been asked that question. And I didn't see it. I just, I was looking for the quotes, etc. But I was making me tea anyway. But it's just a little bit kind of bit poor form, really, to be talking about another club's player.
Yeah, Graham's come out today in his press conference, hasn't he? He's kind of alluded to that much. Said it was kind of, he'd spoken to Jake Young at training ground today, and he seemed okay, but he thought it was a bit poor form. And I must admit, I'm surprised, really, because Simpson's not exactly like kind of an amateur. He's been around for a while, so you've got to think there's maybe some other ulterior motive there to maybe unsettle Jake. I mean, personally, I think he's probably going to go anyway. I mean, I don't know what your view is on that, but the lad's young. He's had a good half season. He's probably, thinking maybe can I kick on to a higher league here?
Yeah, I think it's all it'll be driven by him, really, won't it? Obviously, subject to any kind of fees being acceptable to the club. Yeah, it's like he's probably had interest. Obviously, people talk or people kind of, kind of inquire and stuff. And yeah, he's thinking, well, especially the way the season's gone for City at the moment. Somebody comes in like, I don't know, top half League One club, you'd jump at the chance. So I guess it's kind of we can't compete with these things because of literally the league position that we're in. I think if we were a League One club, we'd have to be like a decent, in a similar position where a decent Championship club comes in. Because I think, aside from like 2 or 3 like really big clubs in League One, I think we'd be relatively competitive. So, in terms of, I haven't had a chance to listen to Alexander's press conference yet, but is there anything else he's kind of said? Or, I mean, like I say, the only thing I got was that he's keen for Jake Young to stay.
Yeah, he talks a little bit about Walker, and Walker's not been able to kind of train properly on grass because of the conditions, and because players have been training that artificial stuff, so they didn't want to risk it. He talked about Lewis Richards has done some running along with Young, and then he said that Grant McCann had changed some things with Doncaster. He doesn't think it'll be the same team that we played against recently. And he's also basically given the players a load of data on their performance since Notts County, and warned them that the dropping off their focus just for a minute has cost them across quite a few games. So it sounds like he's kind of read the riot act a little bit to the players this week, which obviously the Crawley game was a nightmare situation, conceding, we're leading 2-1 with whatever it was minutes to go, and then we concede and lose the game. So I think that he's probably done the right thing there and just trying to drag them back into focus, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I like the guy, and kind of he does it in a different way to Hughes, in a different way to what Derek's done, so he's got his own way, which I'm okay with. I think the Crawley game, I think he was just as culpable as well, because in terms of when he changed it, it was just like for like, and he was just banging your head against a brick wall, really. But overall, I think he's been good. So obviously, I'll wait to see how the rest of the season pans out, and there's everything to play for anyway. So yeah, I mean, I was on the League 2 606 space on Sunday night, and pretty much the Donny fans are kind of in despair. So it'd be interesting to see, whether that kind of translates onto the field or not. Because, by all accounts, like you say, they've changed it about a little bit at Donny since they've played us. But I think we have as well, haven't we? The last couple of games, Derby and last Saturday, where we've kind of gone with that formation with more creative players, and it's just a shame that the likes of Bobby, Harry Chapman, and Kevin McDonald haven't had the minutes sort of recently, So it'd be an interesting game, definitely on Saturday. How much the previous game kind of goes towards, I don't know, because the game at Donny was very much, the talk about. Excuse me.
Okay.
They talk about, obviously, like the possession changing very quickly at this level, and that's what Mark Hughes obviously tried to kind of do, and kind of keep more of the ball. The transitions was the word I was looking for. Sorry. So yeah, very very kind of interested to see how it goes on Saturday. Do you have any thoughts yourself on the kind of transfer kind of goings on and?
Well, I was going to ask you what you felt were missing. I mean, I think we're crying out. We need to probably get a cover for Halliday, because I'm worried about him. But I'm not quite. I think we need another striker as well to push Cook. And then I'm not really sure. I'm kind of, I'm questioning, do we need to bring another midfielder in? But, at the moment, I think those two areas are probably the ones that I'm concerned about the most.
Yeah. I mean, this sort of stage, unless we go to top end League One Championship, I don't think you're right in terms of calling it cover for Holiday, because Holiday's player of the season so far. And he, for me, last season he was the third best behind Cook and Lewis, and Walker would have been up there had he played for a whole season rather than a half season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in midfield we've pretty much got it covered. We've got McDonald in there. We've got I suppose it is dependent a little bit on Walker sort of coming back and when he comes back, because he did play that sort of role, didn't he? Which home game was it? Where one of the first sort of ones where we started picking up points, and kind of Walker went into that more central role, and he was equally as influential there. So yeah, I think for me, maybe one or two may go. I mean, I'm surprised, unless I've missed the news that Rayhan Tulloch's still here, because he's not really been anywhere near, has he?
Yeah. There was a comment about him as well, and I only glimpsed at what the comment was, but I think it was a case of that he's been told that he won't play a game here again, and Alexander felt he needed to go and find somewhere to play his football, and that makes no sense to me. Why don't you just basically kind of send him back and finish his loan? I didn't quite get that, so maybe somebody else knows about that. The final thing I want to ask you, Stan, because it is called Get It Off Your Chest Space, is there anything that you kind of what's your viewpoint in terms of the club right now, and some of the external kind of things that are going on right now? Do you have a view on that? Is there anything you want to get off your chest?
I would say, my major frustration, and I was really frustrated after that Crawley game, and it was a case of because especially with the tactics we were playing very direct, and it's kind of the frustration is, obviously we got rid of Hughes, and it's another season where we've chopped and changed, and we've got a squad that's pretty much built to do one thing, and a manager comes in, he hasn't got the players to do what he wants to do, so you kind of get through to the end of the season, and it's going to be another summer clear out, and there's players on 18-month, 2-year contracts still. So that is down to the direction, but also, and I've said this, in the past, in terms of I guess I'll say it's Sparks, because he's made, or at least announced the decisions in terms of, sort of flip flopping, and really we should have a kind of, we should have a DNA in the club and a plan, and this is how we're going to play. This is the type of player we're going to bring in. Whether that's we get young players and sell them on for profit, a bit similar to Peterborough or whatever, but just have some kind of a DNA and a path that we stick to. And the managers that you bring in are the type of managers that basically, play the style as a club. This is what you're setting out to do. So that's one of my, I would say, biggest bugbears at the moment in terms of how it's gone over the last few years.
I think that's fair points. I kind of would like us to see to look at more youth. I think we've got some really, really good youth players, and I just like a little bit more frequency in them breaking through. Because I think Poynton's been outstanding. I think he's got a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's been outstanding. In his first breakthrough season. But I know that we've got some really, really decent players, and obviously the club are starting to send those out on loan, try and get them some experience. But I think that there's some really, really good youth potential that are coming through at Bradford, and I think that City have just got to be brave sometimes, and try and blood them where they can, because that's the only way that we're going to kind of kick on and get raise the money that we need. Because let's face it, we are a selling club. That's my opinion right now. I think we are a selling club. Anyway, enough for me rattling on. Anybody else got any views? Anything you want to get off your chest? And if you enjoy this, then we'll try to put more regular ones on and fill the gaps where City Vent are not on, so you can get things off your chest. So anybody else want to speak? I know that you would come on and speak, Wayne. You still want to do that? Anybody else got any points at all? You might want to comment on Stephen Gent and our recruitment in general over the last 18 months. You might want to talk about the supporters board. You might want to talk about Sparks. You might want to talk about Rupp. The floor's yours. I'm really not going to. Kind of. Disapprove anybody. It's your floor, your space. You do get it off your chest. Wayne, go ahead, buddy. It's on you. Are you on there, Wayne?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Over to you, buddy.
Just wanted to reinforce what Stan said. So everything he just basically said, I agreed with. In addition to that, I've just noticed that I think I saw something that said that the game might not be on tomorrow. I think Graham Alexander said they're doing everything they can to try and get the game on, but the pitch is currently unplayable. And with the change in weather forecast, unlikely. It's doubtful.
He said something. I think he said something, Wayne, that the weather forecast suggests that they're only going to know on Saturday morning, but they'll do everything they can to get it on.
That's right.
Which is, it's not. I suppose from a Donny point of view, it's not that far to travel. But still, if the boot was on the other foot, we'd want to know as quickly as possible. But my view is it might just be basically kind of postponing it, and rather than trying to rush to get a game on Saturday when the conditions are against us right now.
Yeah, it sounds like the covers don't seem to be doing anything that it doesn't seem to be stopping the frost getting through. So, I think Stan, I can't see the game going ahead because I don't see temperatures improving dramatically over the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and what where are you now at the moment in terms of how City's performances are this season? How do you feel we've done and our current position? And what's your views on Alexander right now?
Well, in terms of performances, I think the performances are exactly where this squad would determine them. I don't think the squad's good enough. I've said that from last summer when we did our recruitment. I just don't think the squad was ever brought in to be good enough. I don't understand what's going on with Tulloch. I know we touched on it earlier. I don't get why we still got him in the squad because we're not going to play him. Don't know why he brought him in the first place. I don't think the squad is strong enough, and therefore the results that we're getting are indicative of that, and we are weighing the table where we are as a result of that. Do I think we can improve on it? I think Graham Alexander is probably the best manager we could have got. I've been championing him for quite a while. I think whilst he's been going around some of our rivals, I've been quite jealous in the fact that he's been at them clubs and not at ours. So I think he's a good manager. I think given time, he would do a good job. But is his hands tied with Sparks and to an extent Gent holding him back slightly? Is he actually going to be able to get the players in that he wants? I think he's talked today about targeting one more player of a particular type. Now I don't know if that's before or after Manny left. And whether we're still on the looking for the one player or it was one player to replace Oliver, but now potentially two. But my personal opinion is we need a lot more than that to get this squad to an acceptable level.
Yeah, I think that the fans that I've spoke to have kind of been disappointed with performances this year. I think for me, the frustrating thing for me, Wayne, has been where we've kind of controlled games and then we've switched off and we've conceded late goals and either shared points or not won. That kind of, for me, has been really hard to take in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I can get that. But then we have games like you touched on it earlier, Crawley, where for large parts of the game we weren't great. It was almost like Crawley had laid a glove on us. We tried to fight back and they just stood back off us a little bit, and then as soon as we hurt them, they came back and did what they could do against us. That's how it felt. It was almost like they were just holding their own and just knew that they could keep us within punching distance. But as soon as we scored our second goal, they came out and ripped us apart. And I'm sure if they'd have played with that same attitude the entire game, we could have been on the end of an hiding. That's how it felt to me.
Yeah, they broken us quickly as well. They were really quick on the break in that final 10, and they seemed to be more effective in the final third than we were.
Yeah, absolutely. They have some decent players, especially going forward.
Yeah, definitely so. Sorry, Wayne, just pause there a second. Stan, you've had your hand up, mate. Did you want to comment on something Wayne had said?
Yeah, I would respectfully disagree with Wayne with regards to how good the squad is. I think the squad is good enough to get in the playoffs. I think the squad has very much underachieved or underperformed. And I think there's a lot of things that have been spoken about. I think definitely we need another striker up there. If let's assume that Jake Young's going, we need another striker, don't we? Or forward that's basically going to be an alternative to Andy Cook, or able to give him a breather. I think the Crawley thing was. Teams had kind of sussed us out because we did stick with that sort of more direct, more transitional sort of way of playing, and all they had to do was just kind of line up, and they were very good on the counter attack. Definitely, they really broke through us, and I think. Was it after that game? Was it after that game that he changed the formation? Was the Derby game after that?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, and fair play to Alexander for actually recognising that, because he would have recognised that that wasn't working, or would being sussed out, or that the fact that the changes he could have made didn't. Like bringing, because we had Bobby, we had Chapman on, and we had Big Kev on the bench. Like 3 out of the 4 best footballers we got in the club. Players that are able to kind of play a bit differently towards, in terms of the same way that we were playing over those few games. It was similar at Crewe, wasn't it? In terms of they got the one break, and that was like you said earlier about the one mistake that we're making, and we've been punished for it in recent games. But then we were just all Crewe had to do, and listening to. It was either the space at the weekend, saying that Crewe defended really well, so maybe give them credit, but we were not changing things up, and fortunately, or at least in that sense, Alexander had recognised that. So fair play to him. But I would say, in my opinion, that we have a good enough squad to go up, and I think if we get 1 or 2 additions that Alexander's alluded to, then it could cement that. But obviously, what we've got to do is change the form round so that we actually start picking up the form that we did when after Notts County.
Thanks, Stan. Wayne, back over to you, pal.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a table tennis match between me and Stan at the moment. Stan, just going back to your question, then your challenge against me.
Yes.
If we were to lose players such as Halliday, Smallwood, or Gilead, try to think of another one, Cook, do you believe there is enough in our squad to replace those players? Because you're saying the squad's strong enough, but I'm looking at key players and thinking if they're out, we are screwed. But you clearly disagree, so...
Well, I would say in the middle of the park, yes. I think we've got like McDonald in there. We've got Chapman that can play at number 10. Obviously, Cook is very difficult to replace, but you're talking like marquee players, aren't you, in terms of the squad? That would depend largely on whether we keep Jake Young or not, or what signing we make. So definitely, and as as has been said earlier, that we need somebody not alongside Halliday, but as a good backup to Halliday, because again he's been like a star player for me. So yeah, but I take that point on board as well. That obviously, but you are talking. I mean, you are talking what realistically that would be what one out of those players mentioned that would go, because there's no way that the club would let those three players go. I think you could change like for like Smallwood for Kev McDonald. Obviously, Patterson's another matter because obviously we've got his injury record to consider. But we did play, didn't we? The Derby game. Who played in the middle of the park when because Brad was suspended and Gilead played at sort of right wing back. Remind me who we had in the middle. It was Kev McDonald. Who else did we have there?
I thought it was Gilead. Did Gilead play that night? I can't remember.
No, Gilead was definitely on the right.
There was Point and one there. He brought Chapman in.
Yeah. So not ideal in terms of like they would be out of place, but Poynton would definitely kind of, or Chapman would spearhead if you like at a 2 or 3 in midfield, and sort of like I think McDonald would be more than ample replacement for Smallwood, because obviously Smallwood's played more of a deeper role this season, hasn't he, in terms of having other players more of the attacking roles within the sort of team, and obviously assuming that Jamie Walker comes back fit and stays fit for the rest of the season. So I think we're covered in there. I think definitely Cook is the one in up front that we would struggle to replace.
Yeah, Sam Case just said that it was Smallwood in the middle against Derby with McDonald.
Yeah. So, but I mean, sort of like Wayners was saying, obviously those players. I mean, the chances are, unless we had like an injury crisis, you wouldn't sell like 2 midfield players.
I want suggesting we'd sell them. I'm saying if they're out injured, like we've missed Jamie Walker massively since he's been out injured. My point is, if any of the other players are out injured for a long time, I don't think we've got enough cover, and that's what I was getting at when I was saying the squad itself isn't good enough. Our 1-11, our first team 11, are probably as good as any team in this league. But once they get an injury or players out of form, I don't think we've got the cover, and that's what I was getting at behind the point I was saying the squad isn't good enough.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think, like I say, it depends on it because we've got Tyreik Wright in now. So let's assume that Walker remains fit. Then Wright would play sort of a wider role, or maybe Bobby, and Walker would come in inside. And I think, I mean, I take that point. I think it'd be unlucky, wouldn't it, to lose key players really, or more than one or 2 key players. But I think good cover for Halliday. But I suppose you would find someone, you'd put Gilead in that role and play sort of McDonald alongside Smallwood, which might not be ideal, but you would have to find a way, I suppose.
Wayne, final thing, right, because I've obviously got some other speakers, but is there anything that's bothering you at the moment with the club? Do you want to get it off your chest, because that's what it's called, this space? Is there anything that you want to speak about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've chatted privately on matters, and my thoughts on Ryan Sparks and the fact that I've got no trust in the guy anymore. My trust has gone in him completely. So obviously that's a bugbear of mine. The supporters trust, the supporters board, I know that they do their best, and they can only do with the questions that people send into them. And I know that they do what they can. I don't think that they, or certainly the chairman of the supporters board, presses the club enough for answers. As an example, I can give you an example. One of the questions was, is there going to be an additional fans forum? And it was basically pushed back saying, no, we've already said we're going to give you one a year, and that's what we've given you. Whereas in the past, they've clearly said they're going to give you 2 a year. So why has there been a change, and why did nobody challenge Ryan Sparks when he gave the answer?
Yeah,
So
Wayne, it's actually in the club's charter.
Yeah.
It's printed and out for everybody to see. So that for us as an independent trust is that we're basically going, okay, well that's not particularly good. And like you, we've got questions on why didn't you challenge on them? And I think they've already outlined that they've suggested that they did, but obviously we weren't there, so we can't confirm or deny that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the minutes to say that they questioned it or anything, so we have to take their word for it. And then I suppose the only other bugbear that I've got is this. What came out from the back of the supporters board meeting was that they're going to ask fans to get involved in the questionnaire for season tickets.
Oh yeah, that's come out today, hasn't it?
Yeah, what a ridiculous thing that is. I mean, I think somebody on the Cow's Ass panel asked a really good, valid point in why is the questions all about you are going to renew and would you be prepared to pay more money, etc., etc. Whereas the question should be, are you going to renew next year? And if not, why not? What issues are causing you any concern? But there's nothing about that. It was just almost an acceptance that you are going to renew, and would you be prepared to pay more money or keep it as it is?
I think one of the comments we've had today from a couple of supporters is that they felt it was a very, very lazy attempt and almost like a blasé attempt to try and gain information when actually it would have been easier so they could get a decent forecast and understanding to ask, as the Cowsar said, why are you not changing those questions to be much more direct, so you get a kind of a confirmed answer rather than fluffy, should we say?
Agreed.
Okay, Wayne, thanks very much for that, buddy, and thanks for coming along. Johnny, hello, buddy. I know you've been waiting for a while. Over to you, my friend. Anything you want to get off your chest?
Just say welcome back, Steve.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, just a few things, really. It's just like I joined a bit late, so just been doing a few things. I just caught last bit of Stan's and Wayness's comments. It's like with the club, no one knows what's really going on. I think they're trying to right the wrongs of basically transfers. I don't know if anyone's just seen it, but Ossie Debe has gone to Forest Green now for an undisclosed fee. So they've somehow, some miracle, got some money for him. And Oliver's gone, so they're trying to free up and make money to get the team better again, I think. But with the matters at the club, it's a strange one. It's like I saw that supporters trust thing yesterday, and I agree with Stan on what Wayness has said. It looks like it's half-assed, really. Questions are being asked, and the club are just like, yeah, we can't be asked answering this. And on about like the chart you're saying there, is it in the chart saying they must have 2 fan forums?
Yeah, it's been posted on a couple of things. I'll try and dig it out and repost it. But it's basically saying their commitment is to 2 fans forums a season. Now, one of the kind of responses that we had back from our posts was that people felt that they were getting around this by doing the supporters board meeting each month. Now, I can't confirm or deny that, Johnny, so I don't know. I'm speculating, same as everybody else. But, they did commit to completing 2 fans forums per year. And obviously, there's still some of the season left, so there's still time. But, obviously, from our point of view, we've been pushing that we think there's an urgent one required because of the general consensus from our supporters.
Because if my memory serves me correctly, I think we've only ever just had one.
I think we've had one. I can't remember. Did we have one at the beginning of this season? I genuinely can't remember. And obviously, I've had medicine, so that's been knocking me all over the place.
Yeah, we had one at the beginning of the season because I said something stupid in there, and obviously it went viral on Twitter. Right. But yeah, my memory serves me correctly. We've only had one, but we've only had one like most of the seasons. We've not really had two. So if the club are breaking its own charter, surely the supporters board should be. You need to sort your stuff out here because you're breaking your own charter, and it sounds like Bradford City are a downhill spiral, really. And
I think what I'm
for good.
And this is my own personal view, Johnny. I think what I'm most worried about is that communication has just suddenly dropped off a cliff.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. It's like with what word am I looking for? Like they do when we win a game, they do like that match day thing, don't they?
Yeah.
That seems to have disappeared again. I don't know if they've done. Is the one come up for Colchester?
They released some numbers, I think, and I can't remember if it was this weekend. I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet from them.
Yeah, because they normally do that like vlog thing, don't they, of like a match day thing, and that seems to have disappeared.
Oh, the Inside Match Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that for a couple of weeks.
So personally, if things are going to crap, they probably need to get a new social media guy to take over and get communication back again to the club.
Well, they have been advertising. They've been advertising for a new digital marketing kind of operative. I know that because I saw that because I think the one they had has gone or is moving on. So I know that they've been advertising for somebody to come into the digital marketing team, which I would presume social is on the thing as well.
And then just one last one from me, and then I'll disappear. Then other people can chit chat. I can't remember if it was Stan or Wayners who said it about the supporters board doing the season ticket thing. That's really strange, isn't it?
They've put out the form today of the supporters board, and
why not
and then
that's what I don't get.
Yeah, and then Bradford City have basically reposted that all over the place. So I'm not sure about that either. If it's a supporters board initiative, then just say it's a supporters board initiative to gauge kind of feeling at the moment. But there's a lot of strange things going on at the moment with the club.
So, do you, Steve, Stan, and Wayners, are you renewing next season?
I'm going to renew. Simply because my view is I support the club, not the hierarchy that's there. I'll support the club. I know other people have got a different view on that, and that's fine. But my view is from a business sense is that if I start to basically kind of deny them revenue, then effectively it could play a part in player budget. And then we're never going to get anywhere. And especially with Rupp coming out and saying that the club's self-sustaining at the moment. So I don't really want to play a part in kind of like the demise of the club in that sense. But, I respect whatever people want to do, but that's kind of like my own view on it.
So I'm definitely renewing anyway. Like same with you there. I couldn't imagine not going to watch football really, and I don't really want to go shopping at B&M and stuff with missus. I'd rather be at football watching it. And then same question to Stan and Wayners, really. Are you guys renewing, or what's your plans for next season?
I guess, I'll always renew because unfortunately, we're addicted to this bloody club, aren't we? So it's kind of... the only thing that would stop me from renewing is if I had work commitments that I could not really sort of turn down. But as far as I'm concerned, and it's always going to be the case. There's going to be leaner times. There's going to be better times, and we are supporters of Bradford City, as Steve has said. We're not Ryan Sparks supporters. We're not Stefan Rupp or whoever the next owner or CEO is. We're Bradford City, and it's kind of like this cliched, greater than the sum of its parts. But that's what we do. So, and I'll probably be sort of my girlfriend asked me at the start of this season, I says, oh, long trip to Crawley today. And she says, oh, why'd you do it? I says, because I'm a knobhead. And I said, it's like knobheads on tour, and it's like, you do it because you do it, and at this point in my life, it's important enough for me to kind of renew. So yeah, I will be renewing, definitely.
What about yourself, Werners?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm torn at the moment. My head says one thing, my heart says the other. I've been in this position before where I've said I'm not going to renew again, whilst X is in charge, and then at last minute I've ended up renewing, and it'll probably be the same again this time. As it stands at the moment, I'm saying no. I probably won't go again because I need to make a stand, and nothing's going to change if we keep doing the same thing. But then, like you said, the pull will probably get to me as we come round again. So, I don't know. I think stand, I would like to say no, I won't be renewing again, whilst the club is managed by Sparks under a Rupp ownership. But when the season tickets come out, it'll probably be a different matter, and I'll probably end up renewing again. They'll suck me in.
For
I think if
else,
I can just jump in here, that's the issue that fans have, is that, and maybe, I don't know whether clubs play on that or not, or whether it's just one of those things, but the fact that fans do find it hard to stay away, if there are any kind of thoughts of any protests, you kind of like, you're sort of punishing yourself because you're not getting to watch something that you enjoy watching. So it's that kind of paradox, I suppose.
What about if we use the emojis at bottom and say thumbs up if you want to renew, or thumbs down if you're not going to renew, and just generally just see what people put. So thumbs up if you're going to renew, thumbs down if you're not renewing. Just get a general thing. I don't know if you probably could see this, Steve, but I can't see anything come up at minute. But
yeah, Steve. Couple of thumbs down. One, thumb up there from Lee. I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? And the heart leads ahead sometimes for these things. But I just think that I think we're in a really difficult position, guys. I really do right now as fans, because we just want. I think we just want a plan. That's it. I think we want a plan, and we want to see them move forward with it. But hey ho, that's me. One thing, just before I ask for more speakers, this might actually drive people to speak, but I've been asked to touch on something that I've read today. I think. Sorry, we've mentioned Cow's arse again. Sorry, guys, but they've ran with it. I've seen a couple of posts on it as well, and that was the Kadima sports tour that we had in pre-season, and there's been some allegations that have come out today that the guy who was in charge of Kadima was a friend of Ryan Sparks at Featherstone, something to do with Featherstone in his previous life, and effectively that Kadima was as dodgy as he like, a PO box number in registered PO box number in London, and I just wondered if anybody had some views on that, because for me, I'm not sure why a lot more hasn't been made out of this, or a lot more attempts to kind of look at this, because I didn't go personally on the trip over there, so if anybody who's on listening went on that trip, can give us a kind of an overview of what it was like, etc., that'd be great. But does anybody have any views on that, or know anything else, or can confirm what we're seeing there, or do we think it's just speculation and smoke and mirrors? Anybody want to speak on that at all? Okay, that's fine. I don't know enough about this company, but from what I've read is that they've only ever done one tour, and that's Bradford. So I just find it really, really interesting that has been unearthed, and and we're seeing kind of these sort of allegations, and I've not seen anything from Ryan Sparks in terms of a comment on it, etc. So I just thought I'd bring it up and see where we go. So over to you again, guys. Anybody else got any points? Anything they want to get off their chest about the current thing? It could be about Stephen Gent and the recruitment so far. It could be about anything that you want. You might be unhappy with the kind of tiffins, whatever you want. Anybody else got anything to say? Come on, there's loads of you on. You must have some views, guys. Twitter's normally alight with your views. Very quiet. Anybody got any views on the supporter board questions, or do you want to comment any more on that? Or anybody got any views on where we're going to finish at the end of this season? Oh, there we go. Stands back.
Yeah, I have a question on the Gent thing, and I put that out to see what the consensus is. But do we think overall the recruitment over the last 2 years has been a net positive or a net negative, or just like middle of the road?
That's a really good question. I'll show up and let everybody else answer. But my viewpoint right now is that I thought that Gent's first transfer window was pretty solid. The remaining ones since, I've not been kind of like heel clicking and dancing down the street. But that's just my view.
So I would say overall it's been good, even over the 2 seasons. There's obviously, I think, this season's been hit and miss, hasn't it? I think the Clark Odo being signed as a left wing back, and then him saying I'm not a left wing back. That obviously is bad. Sort of something went wrong in that sort of signing. I mean, he's been an okay signing overall, but I think, well, I say okay, it's been disappointing. I think Patterson's been good, but obviously he's been a bit injury prone for a little while. If we go through the summer signings, so we've got Tyler Smith. Middle of the road has been as good as he's been bad. And who else? So the loans, Tulloch came in and he did all right, didn't he? But he only sort of got 2 or 3 games out of him. The lad of Foker was, I think he was just a free roll at dice, wasn't he, really, in terms of like nothing to lose bringing him in. Probably cheap as chips. And Oyegoke's was a big disappointment for me, because considering that, kind of going through the the England setup through the junior ranks, etc. I expected him to have better fundamental skills, but there were a couple of games where he played okay, but he, again, for me, I think my guess is that when he came in, possibly Hughes was maybe surprised, thinking he should have been better than he was. I don't know.
I think sometimes for me, Stan, is that I sometimes wonder whether they basically truly do look at the team and go, we need cover here, we need to do that. I mean, because the Cook thing, for example, we've known that we needed backup for Cook for some time, especially when Verdane Oliver was out, and we had a prime chance to try and get somebody in, and we just never did.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, whatever it was with Mark Hughes and Jake Young, you had a ready-made player there. We don't know whether he would have got the goals, depending on how we would have played, and whether he would have played out wide or wherever. I think Cook's been very difficult to kind of find somebody that's either a really good backup, or either in terms of like a different style but equally effective, or just like a competition for Cook. And I've said this a few times, and these days I don't think managers and you can't tell me that they don't have the resources or the time to, maybe not, because the fixture list is so full, but, to actually watch a player in person. And you know, when you sign, when they're looking at a player, obviously, this is my guess on how it works, is that manager goes to Gent, right, okay, I need a left back. This is what I need. Gent will go through his contacts, all his like spreadsheets or whatever. He'll find a list of players within budget, within whatever they're looking at, and they'll see the reels of like, you know, the YouTube show reels, etc. But how many times does a manager sort of says, right, okay, well, that player, he looks good, he's got a funny gait, but what he does with that ball, I can see him fitting in, say, like as a holding midfielder or whatever it is. I don't think that happens anymore, and I think, you know, maybe the game's moved on from that, but I find it surprising that sometimes almost players surprise managers when they come in, you know, in sometimes like almost like a disappointing way.
Yeah, that's true. Stan, thanks, mate. I'm just going to try and get a couple of other speakers in now. Pedro, thanks for coming on, mate. The floor's over to you, buddy. What do you want to get off your chest?
Well, I'd like to cow's ass, stand up and be counted for and speak as a voice of good opinion, and I like their opinions and very well spoken, but just never seem to voice them. You know, I've never seen them on the event. I've never seen them anywhere. Just, you know, just publicly talking, but they don't really talk a lot of sense. I haven't really got much to get off my chest. Really, I just see a lot of these players that have gone out, like Lewis, maybe as Derek Adams, as Alexandra, not really liked him and seen that he's done a couple of, you know, I've seen a couple of goals that I thought I could have probably saved that. But he has had saved some that you think, how the hell has he done that? Maybe has he seen he's inconsistent and thought, I'll get another goalie. Sam Walker sounds pretty decent. He got offered another contract at Charlton. I know he's just third choice or second choice bench warming, but still got to be something about him. I know there's a few questions that people are saying about like getting Colin Doyle to scout players, and you know, it does, when you think of it like that, it does make it sound bad, but you know, that's due diligence as well. You know, at the same time, people are asking him and he's getting his due diligence off of him, because you've got to ask people, you know, to obviously get that. So that's sort of questionable. But yeah, I just think that he's probably a good replacement, and I'm glad Lewis has gone. You know, he wanted to go. Barnsley put an offer in. He turned his head. He got a bit grumpy. He wanted his sen, and I don't think he's ever been his sen since. So I'm glad he's gone, to be honest.
I think that quite a lot of fans believe that he had a great first season, but this season he's been hit and miss on some cases. I think it was just the kind of speed of him going that shocked quite a lot of fans. And then obviously it doesn't help when the fees undisclosed. So, you know, straight away then people are saying, well, we got the value for him. City seem to be playing hardball over Young, so who knows?
Well, just that Carlisle saying that, he said he would an extortionate price and way out of the budget. Then he's come out and made this statement now to clear it and say, I didn't mean to say that, or I don't think I've said that, or something like that. It's definitely on BBC website, BBC Cumbria site. But maybe they are wanting a good fee. I'd want a good fee for him, you know. Maybe he wants gone. You know, we don't know. You know, we don't really know. Did Mike Hughes not like him and want rid? What, he just, you know, one of these, not a good dressing room guy, you know, just...
Yeah, we don't know, do we? That's
what he will like and what is he. Do you think he's got that big attitude, that big ego? Is it one of them that stomps, and when he's not playing, he brings morale down? And, you know, if you have a few of them in camp, then it does spread, you know, if you lower people's morale and start talking and people start actually, you know, you sit around shit, you'll smell of it, and it's true, you know, so... Yeah. I think that if he's doing that, then get gone.
All right, buddy. Thanks for that. Anything else that's bothering you about the club at the moment? Anything? What did you think of the kind of supporters boards minutes? Did you have any view on those?
Yeah, like these supporters board just seem as though that there's note's really getting done. You know, there's no communication from club. That I heard someone say earlier. There's just no communication. I don't think supporters board can get out of them. I don't think even people emailing Ryan Sparks to getting replies back. I think it's just like everyone just put earplugs in and that's it, and and no one can get to them.
Yeah, we definitely haven't had any reply back from Mr. Sparks, I must admit, in terms of our questions. So, and we'll keep trying and go from there. Thanks, Pedro. Appreciate it, buddy. I'm going to move on.
Okay, that's
really appreciate
I'll try and get the cow's ass on if you can. I'd love to hear them speak. And
well, they're listening. So it's up to them.
They're good at that. All listening and no action.
Oh, they've got plenty to say. I'm pretty sure of it, judging by the forum. So,
stage shy,
which is funny.
Yeah.
Right, Owen, it's over to you, pal. Thanks for waiting for us as well, mate. I appreciate it.
Hello.
What do you want to get off your chest, mate?
Well, I just joined space. I thought about the city. It's just a bit crazy at the minute, isn't it? Really, with all that's going on.
Oh, there's definitely lots going on, shall we say?
And I think it's just one of them, innit? A lot of pointing fingers at the minute and what have you. I think this whole Jake Young situation needs to be sorted. Definitely, we can't have it keep lingering. For me, that's one problem at the minute. We need to know whether he's staying, going, injured, not injured. Is he sulking? What's the situation? I think we need to be a bit more clear on what's going on.
Do you think he'll go, Owen?
Well, I don't. I've heard it a change of heart and that he would just want to stay at City. And I don't know what the reason is. I think if he's going to move, he'd be stupid to move to Carlisle, in my opinion. He's having the season of his life. I don't know why he'd want to go there. I'm probably a bit isolated up top. I remember in our relegation season, Doyle would have isolated 90% of the time, and that's what happens in no striker wants to play in a relegated team, really.
Yeah, that's true, and I think I've read a couple of things that's kind of put him off a little bit as well. Judging by the season that he's had, he doesn't really want to kind of jeopardise what a good half season he's had by potentially then going to a relegation fight.
Yeah, bit silly, really. We need to sort out what's going on. Like, if we are going to get rid of him, I don't want to wait till last day. Like, I know it's not really on us as much to, if a club came in at the death and said, right, £350 million on the table with a good sell-on clause and goal bonuses, we might think all of a sudden, shit, that's a good deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we might have to just take it. I think if we did get anything upwards of 500 grand, we've probably got to take it, in my opinion, because for me, I don't think he's that much of a good player. If you want me to be totally honest, I think he's a bit of a flashing pan who's had a good half season.
Well, he had Kemp alongside him, didn't he? He had Kemp playing alongside him as well. He's gone back to the Dons, and they seem to hit it off. It's just then whether Alexander plays him to strengths and he can link up with Cook. I think that's $1 million question, isn't it?
Well, we've now a lot of people were adamant that Chapman were going. You see, like people, I was seeing so many fucking know-it-all say we're 100% going. But now it looks like he's back in the fold. So he's another one that gets run in. Tyreik Wright just being signed back. For me, that is such a good piece of business. People saying it's like a PR stunt and what have you, I think are a bit crazy, to be honest with you, because if anyone actually watched him play last year, if that guy would have stayed, for me, would have definitely gone up. I think that was a big difference last year.
Yeah. So I suppose time will tell. We've still got whatever it is, 2 weeks of window left, roughly. Yeah. So time will
I
tell.
bet Hughes absolutely kicking himself.
Probably is.
Because he probably thinks, if he'd have kept him, would he have ever been sacked? Probably not. Not this short anyway.
There's still some kind of, kind of doubt as to why Young was in the spanking corner anyway, because he literally, they obviously had some sort of fallout, didn't they? There.
Yeah, well, people said so many things like it was something to do because he were mates with Kate. You remember Kane Harrett?
Yeah.
People saying it's because he were mates with him and all to do with that course. Honestly, I'm not going to drop anyone in it, but I can assure you that is bollocks.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact, 100%, and I don't mean to be one of these in the know people, and I'm not going to drop names at all, but I know that's bullshit.
It's fair enough.
Look, there's been loads of rumours flying about apparently he called him, what did he call, apparently he called Hughes clueless, or something like that. Whether that's true. Like Pedro said, who knows why? For all we know, Young could be a fucking sulky twat.
Yeah. Good. Well, a lot of it we don't see, do we? We don't see the training every day and things like that.
People don't see in training what you see in a match day.
Yeah.
One of the players told me, and again, I'm not fucking dropping names, he said last year our best three players, ability-wise, were Chapman, Pereira and East. Pure ability this is. Yeah. Two of them players barely played for us last year. So that tells you everything, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. I know, and will you be renewing your season ticket this coming season?
Oh, 100%, yeah. But, for me, look, I know people say you got to take action, etc. But me not renewing my season ticket is not going to change anything. It's the thing that I love doing, and I'll be pretty lost on a Saturday without football. So I'll definitely keep going.
And would you this coming season? Would you pay more for it if need be? Just purely on the chance that bigger playing budget. I'm going to use that.
Well, I've done it for years. I definitely. I'm kind of sick of having these big crowds and what have you, because I think it's just one, added pressure. Two, people use it as an excuse, like we're too big for this league. We're not. We have cheap tickets, and that's why people turn up. It's simple as I'd rather 10,000 real fans there than 18k, and half of them don't want to really be there.
That's fair enough.
So I don't know. It's one of them. I'll keep going to away games. Like people were moaning today about not being able to get a Wrexham ticket, but they went at Colchester away last week. I can assure you that.
It's fair enough.
It's like the whole. That's the I'm not really a happy clapper. I don't like to really moan. I'm kind of a middleman, me. You see.
Yeah.
I'm a bit reactionary after games, but I try to keep my points to myself or share them with people nearby. But I won't run to Twitter and put fucking hell, ride or draw full, blah 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 blah. Because the players do read tweets, believe it or not, and they do read the Twitter, and so do the families as well. Like with us a day believing today, I think it's pretty pathetic how our fans have handled it. Laughing, saying all this and that. It's just like, just wish him well. Just say we've got a fee. Time for him to move on. All the best, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay,
and I'm not one who's blaming. I'm not blaming the fans before anyone wants to put on hashtag people blaming fans again, because I'm not. Look, fans of they're entitled to their own opinion. If they want to boo, they can boo. It's one of them.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Everybody's got different opinions, and and they have the right to voice them. We might not always agree with them. We might agree with them, but the fact is that they're entitled to make their own kind of judgment on things and tell everybody that if they want to. We don't have to agree with it. We can agree with it. That's the choice we have.
Well, if someone's paying their hard-earned money, paying that cash to get through that gate, and or when they're travelling down to away games and paying for that. If we get hammered 3-0 and they want to clap at full time, they're more than entitled to do that. Yeah, I've been to away games before and I've seen people clapping for them, and I've been more seething with them clapping because I'm like, I don't know how, but look, it's their opinion, and if I want to boo, I hope no one would question me at the same time. It's one of them things, and it's easy for people to sit behind anonymous accounts on Twitter who watch it and I follow, etc., and criticise this and that. But if you actually go at games, you'll see the proper fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, Owen, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you taking the time to speak and everything. Right, guys, anybody else got any points to make? Anybody else want to basically have a say on something? We've been going just over an hour. I don't obviously want to keep you if nobody else wants to speak, but it's been fun, this. And we've discussed some interesting things. But anything else that's kind of you want to get off your chest at the moment? Yeah, so over to you guys. Otherwise, we'll wrap things up and I'll let you get back to your evenings. We've just got a request. Mark. So, Mark, the floor is yours, my friend. What do you want to get off your chest? Over to you, Mark. We're just waiting for you to come off mute, buddy.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go, mate. Welcome, mate. What do you want to get off your chest?
Well, my frustrations with the club at the moment is basically the lack of a plan with any. You can go on about Gent and the signings I was listening earlier. It's a scattergun approach. It's just like, let's just sign everyone. We've got one of the biggest squads I can ever remember. And most of them, they're not even fit to farm in a farmer's field, let alone play football. They're awful. Absolutely awful. And
I think we've got 34, haven't we, Mark, at the moment? 34 on the books right now, or less what we've sold, got rid of.
But if we got like 14 of them off the books and you got a 20-man squad, and how many instead of them 14, you could have had 5 quality players in that budget. And that could be the difference between being up there with Wrexham and all the others, you know what I mean? And where we are now, where, to be honest with you, one bad run and we could be, I think we're safe this season, but it's for a club our size, it's just so frustrating. And Sparks is he's the main man. He has to have someone alongside him, or he has to employ someone to oversee the club and have a direction of, you see other clubs and they have a plan. It doesn't matter if a manager comes and goes; they carry on going. Most of them carry on going. There's very few clubs like Stevenage when their manager goes, that they'll go. They'll go down. Most clubs carry on building. Burton did for years and years. I know they're on the slide now, but that could be lack of investment again now. I don't know. Maybe the money's run out there. He seems to be, out in politics at the moment under their chairman rather than football. But they did have a plan, and managers come and go, and they carried on growing. I just don't know. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but just to me, it just seems like we just buy loads and loads of average players, and hopefully we get a gem. And there's not actually any thought behind it at all.
I think from previous seasons, we've gone from one extreme to the other, because I remember on transfer windows, you're looking for any news that City just would sign somebody. And so we've gone from that to then, bringing in 34 players. Well, we didn't bring in that many, but you know what I mean, having 34 players on the books. And then, you do have to look at some of the quality that we've got there. I mean, Derbyshire hasn't really done a job for absolutely ages. I think he was in India when we picked him up. Has he scored 2 goals or something in his career? I can't remember the exact numbers.
Another short signing, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and Oliver, I'm glad he's going out and getting some game time because he was obviously injured. And obviously, I think Evans will get him scoring. That's the worst thing. But he's not really. We've paid for his bill while he's injured. We've got Pattinson out injured at the moment, who on his day can be a very good footballer. But there's just some that they don't see. For some reason, City players, they come here and then they don't seem to fulfil the potential. Because on paper, we've got a really good squad.
But if you do your research, Patterson's always been injury prone. So who's actually doing the backgrounds? You know, when he came, everyone knew. You know, if he stays fit, he'll be a good player. But we knew that he had these issues, and yet we still gambled. And you look at all these 34-man squad we start the season with, and then everyone's talking about Poynton. Come through the ranks. How can he be like the standout of the season when you sign that many players? You know what I mean? It's a joke. It just shows what's happened. You know, we get the guy from Hull, you know, in the middle of the park. The Hull fans were sad to see him go. He comes to us, and like I say, it's just been a letdown, really. He seems to be sulky half the time, and I don't know what's going on. There just seems to be something bad at the club at the moment, and I do think we need a director. I've never really advocated directors of football because I don't think they always work. But we need something with or a plan, and then get that sort of play. You mentioned Oliver. You know, he was brought for this for goals. But if you look at him, he's a sort of player that thrives off wingers, and we've never had a manager play with wingers. So why bring in a player that's not going to fit into that system? Again, it's just no foresight. We don't have wingers. We don't play with wingers. So why get a target man that's going to play off a winger? It's not going to work, is it?
That's the thing now. Is go back to your point, Mark, about plan. You know, and I start to look at clubs like Notts County, like Stockport, etc., who've come up through from non-league. Fair enough. You know, former league clubs, but have almost kind of just reinvented themselves and gone, right, this is the plan. This is what we're going to stick to. And, you know, my family, my wife's side are from Stockport, and they'll tell you that they've been kind of sticking with this plan since God knows how long. All the fans know what it is. It's invested in youth. It's kind of doing this, doing that, etc., and they've not deviated from it once. And you look at the success levels that they're having, and I can't help but be jealous a little bit, to be fair.
No, I am as well. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And you can buy into a plan, and you can know that sometimes it takes a while to work. But if you can see it, like we did when Parky was there, you could see how we were running as a club. Yeah, all right, we always want more. Everyone wanted more. Everyone wanted championship football. We didn't quite get it. But every year we improved, and every year we added to it, and you could see which way we were going. And at the moment, we're absolutely lost as a club. And I do think we will lose 5,000 fans this season. I really do. I do not. I mean, the other guy said if you only have 10,000, fair enough. You know, 10,000 real fans. But if 10,000 real fans are paying an extra £25 each a season ticket, how much money has the club lost? You know what I mean? When 5,000 have walked away, you know, and then that reflects on when you're trying to sell your advertising because there's less people there, the club merchandise, the drinks, everything else. You know, it has a knock-on effect. It's not just. And then you have a lesser budget, so then you got a lesser budget, so you got 10,000 fans. How long before some of them finally get fed up? It all has a knock-on effect. We have to stay together as a club, but the only way we'll do that is if we have a clear plan, and also that comes with communication, which used to be really good under Ryan Sparks. And I know he's under a lot of pressure, but hiding behind his settee and putting his hands over his ears is not going to make it go away. He has to stand up and be counted. It's times like this when you either have a leader or you're not a leader. And if he isn't a leader, then it's not a job for him. But you can't keep hiding like he is. You know, this hanging Jake Young out, either sell him or don't sell him. Most players that go out on loan and then come back who have got a chance of playing to the club are usually in the Telegraph and Argus. You know, saying about, they can't wait to get back. You know, they've gone out and got the fitness back up, etc., and they want to show the fans what they can do. Jake's not even had an interview. It's like we don't want him to say anything in front of any of the fans. We don't want the club to look bad. We're actively trying to get as much as we can. Just be honest. If that's the plan, to sell him, to invest the money, tell the fans, be honest. At least we know what's going on. I don't like this smoke and mirrors and cloak and dagger stuff that they're trying to do at the moment. I think it just alienates more and more fans.
Well, I think the thing that's been proven, Mark, so far is that Sparks will get, and I think about the Cowley thing. The reality is that he said that Cowley was, Graham Alexander was first choice. And we know that the Cowleys basically made a statement in the press saying they'd been there, they'd been offered the job, and they refused it. And these little sound bites that he keeps giving Sparks, he keeps getting caught out. And and then what happens then is the pressure then ramps up on him, and he then goes missing. And we haven't seen him in anger in anything for absolutely ages. He did the new manager kind of press conference, and then we've not heard anything. So, and I think for me, it's a case of that right now when we're having a tough spot, you need your kind of like leaders of the club coming out and saying, this is what we're doing. And like, I agree with you, like you said, if you've made a mistake or if there's mistakes, etc., and you want to basically kind of put a new plan in place, tell the fans so that we know, because we'll get behind it.
Yeah. Honesty is always the best way, I think, and standing up and be counted. That's when you need your leaders. I mean, Graham Alexander, I think he's a good manager, and I think he could do a good job if he's backed. But at the moment, he's standing up on his own. He's looking around him, and there's no one with him. He's standing there and he's taking all the flack at the moment, and he's strong enough to do it. Don't get me wrong. And as a manager, he's showing leadership as a manager, but he could do with a little bit of support here and a little bit of like direction. If the club are selling Jay Young, we should turn around to him and be able to sell up. Just let it out. We're going to sell him. We'll reinvest his money. We'll get the right players in. We need to trim the fat. We need to get this money back in because we're self-sufficient. We've got to get the money back in because we must have wasted lots and lots of money with Matt Hughes buying 2 teams and none of it any good. You know what I mean? It's an awful mess. It really is a mess. 30-odd players.
I'll tell you what I do fear. I fear that we go on another managerial merry-go-round again, because I think that we need to get some stability in place. And Alexander, for me, he seems to be saying the right things. He seems to care, but I just worry now that if he gets frustrated with how things are going, that he could walk away. And I think that would be so damaging for us as a club right now.
Yeah, it would be a disaster. I really do think that would be a disaster, because I do think he's a good manager. I think he's like Parky. He might be a slow burner getting it. It's a big club. It's a big mess. It's going to take a while to turn around. But the thing is, we're running out of time with the season ticket deadline approaching of when they'll start doing the offers. And if this season fizzles out and we'll do lose Jake Young and and maybe 1 or 2 others, and we don't know what the club are trying to do with it, it's no good trying to do a last minute promotion and whatever, just to try to get bums on seats. I really feel like we've got to be honest now in this window and say, look, we're probably not looking to sign too many. We want to keep us powder dry. We want to go into the summer with Graham so he can trim who he wants gone from the squad, and we're going to give him this amount of money we've got in, plus the budget for next year, and we'll get some proper quality in. And they need to be honest, and they need to prove that as well, because I think we really are approaching last chance saloon for a lot of fans.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you coming on and having a chat, buddy. We'll try and probably do more of these get off your chest spaces. Thanks for coming on, pal. I appreciate it.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Jake, over to you, buddy. Thanks for waiting for us, mate, and thanks for coming on and sparing some time to have a listen and get involved. It's over to you, my friend. What do you want to get off your chest?
Hi, mate. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, pal. It's over to you, buddy.
Just a quick one on Jake Young. I agree with a lot of stuff what Mark's just said there. I think he came across really well. My only point about Jake Young would be, I know, and I see it a lot on Twitter, everyone's coming out and saying, say what we want to do with Jake Young. But as far as I can see, Alexander's saying, if he was fit, I know we've got a lot about this injury and this little niggle and whatever else, but he's coming out and saying if he was fit, he'd be in the team. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know what much more he can say apart from that. Like, he's saying that he wants him in the squad. He has no intentions of selling him, but people don't seem to be paying much attention to that. And it all seems to be about the fact that we think that we are going to sell him. So I don't know if there's much more Graham Alexander can do in that respect, really.
Jay, I'll tell you what's something that's been on my mind about Young and his time at Swindon is the fact that they allowed that Flynn played Young when he was injured. And I thought there was a level of protection for loan players where they can't basically play them if it risks injury. And maybe we're wrong, but I just think it was pretty bad form from Swindon playing him when he was injured instead of giving him the care that he needed.
Yeah, you'd expect that there'd be clauses in contracts, wouldn't you? But then I suppose a lot of that comes from how honest Swindon want to be with us and what that relationship's like. I suppose I don't really know.
That's fair enough. It just bothered me, that's all, because send him back and he's injured, and then we can't play him because of that injury. It seems a bit poor.
Look good, does it? And it also makes him, and whether or not this is the case or not, it makes him not look as committed to us as he was to them. Do you know what I mean? If he's willing to play through the injury for them, but not for us.
That's a fair point. Where do you see us finishing this year, Jake?
Middle of the road, mate. I don't think we're going to get promotion. Unfortunately, I think we'd be lucky to scrape playoffs. I think we'd need to put on a bit of a run, but I think it's all about letting Graham continue to assess the squad. I do think he's the man to take us forward. I think he comes across really well in the press. He seems like he knows what's what. Just let him assess, let him get his own people in and build the squad. I think I'd be really interested to see what his plans formation-wise are, because I don't know if this 3 at the back and with wing-backs is his preferred formation, or is it what he's playing because of what we've got? I don't really know.
Okay, buddy. Anything else you want to get off your chest? Anything bothering you else about the club?
No, I think like everyone else, I think communication can be a lot better. Again, I agree with a lot with what Mark said. Just come out and be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like you've all said, saying that Graham Alexander was first choice and all these little sound bites just come back to bite him in the arse. And I think as a fan base, we never let him forget. Not me personally. I think I'm a bit like that Owen lad you had on earlier. Keep my counsel to myself. Not really too vocal in terms of criticising things on Twitter, because I just think it's not always necessarily a good look. But I think as a fan base, you look at the hashtag, it's like we got a bunch of detectives on there sometimes, just picking stuff out and picking people out and stuff. So I think these sound bites always come back to bite people in the arse a little bit, don't they? So I think more communication. And I listened to that Hard Truth podcast with obviously that Phil, who's a Bradford fan, and Darren McCanty, and I just really like how open and honest Darren is about everything. And I don't know if anyone's heard the latest one, but he spoke about how if they'd have gone up this season, if we'd have still had Harry Lewis, he'd have tried to sign him as a backup for them in the Championship.
Yeah, he did say that. I think his secret bantam is Darrow anyway.
Yeah. We all have dreams that one day he'll own us, don't we? But we'll see.
I think he'd really fancy it, to be fair. Definitely. Jake, thanks, buddy. I appreciate you giving us the time and coming on. So thanks for your support on that, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Wayne, you're back on, pal. What else do you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Jake whether he actually believes the issue around Young, because I know he said that he's got this injury, and has he got this injury, and what more can Alexander do? He's spoken honestly. Have you heard the interview today, Jake, that Alexander had, where he said he's spoken to Jake Young at length? I just wasn't sure that he was giving enough information out in that interview, because he basically said that he'd spoken to him, and then he was asked, well, was that enough to keep him to stay? And he went, well, he didn't really answer it. He just kept going round and round. So going back to what Mark said, is he being honest? Could he have not just said, I've spoken to him, he is still thinking about moving on if an offer comes in that he likes? But he didn't. He just kept saying, well, I've spoken to him, I've told him my opinion, we've had a chat. But what's Jay Young's point in this? Does he want to leave? Because we still don't know. And I'm still, personally, I don't think he's injured. Not enough to keep him out.
Yeah, I think Graham Alexander's done nothing for me to not believe anything that he's ever said in press conferences. Whereas I think there's probably other people within the club that, we go back to these little sound bites about Sparks and things. I think if it was Ryan Sparks coming out and say it, then me personally, I'd take it with a bit more pinch of salt. But I think there's nothing that Graham's done currently so far for me to not believe him. Now, the one thing that did concern me is that it felt and it sounded like it was Jake Young's choice rather than the club's choice. You know what I mean? Like, there was that soundbite, wasn't there, about, you know, when Jake tells us he's fit enough to train, then he'll train almost, which I know you've got to take the player's lead on it, but the worry always at that point then is that, you know, he's got his agent in his ear saying, we've got this offer coming in, we've got that offer coming in, who knows? But I think, and I've not listened to it yet, but I know obviously there's the press conference come out today, and then he seems to have spoke a little bit more about Jake Young, and obviously all the comments from the Carlisle manager, and I don't know whether Vidane Oliver going out now and freeing up of his wages means that we've got more in the budget that we don't need to sell Jake Young now. And, you know, if we did have a price in mind, like, that's no longer valid anymore because we've freed up a bit more money elsewhere. So, you know, things could have changed.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Wayne, go on. I'll shut up.
No, just saying that's a fair comment from Jake. I'm not indicated that I don't believe Graham Alexander, and that I think he's trying to pull wool over anybody's eyes. I think it's more about the fact that he's not letting on certain information that he knows. You know, whether that's because it's come from the top telling him to, you know, not disclose too much. It just seems to be from that interview today where he talked at length about Jake Young, and he kept going back to, well, I've spoken to Jake Young, I've had a long chat with him, I spoke to him about having his head turned and me as a player, what I've had to go through in the past and all the rest of it. But he didn't actually say what Jake Young's own thoughts were after that conversation, and whether he's still looking to move on if an offer comes in that he wants to take. And that's my only concern.
I think at this level, like, every player's got a price as well, don't they? I don't think any of us would complain. I think it was Owen that said it earlier, if $500,000, $750,000, whatever it is, if we get a decent offer for him, I don't think anyone would complain about that necessarily, would they? It's just, you don't want to see us selling him for next to naught, really.
I think the biggest concern, Jake, is whether the club would reinvest that wisely. And judging by the Width for the Post podcast this week that came out, if anybody's listened to it, there was a good, I think they got well over 1,000 sample in a poll, and 82% said that they didn't trust the club right now to invest money wisely and things like that. So I think that's $1 million question, isn't it? It's about, you know, whether we reinvest that money if we were to get it. I think that would probably be the biggest concern for fans. But I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Okay, guys. Anybody else got anything to say? Speak your piece now. Put your requests in. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you all for coming along and sparing some time tonight and just having a bit of a chat about City and getting things off our chests. Anybody else? Okay. Guys, thank you so much. We'll probably try and do more of these a bit more regularly. We're probably going to be doing some in-person stuff as well for the independent fans bit. But for now, thanks for turning up. Thanks for getting involved, and speak to you all soon. All the best, guys. Take care.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.